What should I do to make my class interactive and not boring?
Are you guys struggling to make your online classes interactive? Why not try to upgrade your instructional materials? For today's video, we are going to identify the different types of instructional materials and determine their uses. Of course, I will introduce some instructional materials suitable for your online classes. But before that, let us discuss first about instructional materials. So, what are instructional materials?
Instructional materials are materials used to aid the exchange of information in the teaching and learning process. They are also used to stimulate active learning and assessment.
That's right. Instructional materials or IMs has three roles. They serve as delivery vehicle of instructions, stimulate meaningful personal interpretation, and medium in representing learning outcomes. The purpose of IMs is to improve students' knowledge, abilities, and skills, to monitor their assimilation of learning, and to contribute to their overall development and upbringings.
You must note that as a teacher, our instructional materials should support the educational philosophy, goals, and objectives of the curriculum. And also, it's important to remember that our instructional material should be appropriate for the age, emotional, and social development and ability levels of our students, and shall be diverse with respect to levels of difficulty, reader, feel, and represent a variety of view.
There are different types of instructional materials in the form of audio, visual, audiovisual, and electronic interactions. Since we are now in the online setup of education, our discussion will just focus on instructional materials that we can use in our online classes. It is a fact that our instructional materials are sometimes limited to the use of blackboards, cartulinas, chalks, and textbooks. But as a 21st century teacher, we can always do something to upgrade our teaching strategies. First, we have online communication tools like Zoom, Skype, MS Teams, and Google Meet. These tools enable communication with larger groups through video conferencing, messaging, audio calls, virtual rooms, and many more. All you need to do is download these apps in Google Play if you're an Android user, and in Apple App Store if you're an iPhone user. If you're at your personal computers, you can directly go to their websites and start your online teaching experience.
That's good, but how can my student read my lesson if it is just a video conferencing app?
Well, don't worry. This tool has a share screen feature where you can share everything in your screen. Now let's discuss about interactive whiteboards like Jamboard, Whiteboard 5 by Kahoot, and Miro. These interactive whiteboards help emulate the classroom whiteboard or blackboard experience with your students. These tools offer an infinite canvas with shape libraries for creating different types of diagrams, charts, graphs, and other visualization. You can search this tool in Google and you'll be automatically directed to their website and utilize this interactive whiteboard for free. Now let's talk about document creators and managers like Google Suite, WPS, and Microsoft Office. These instructional materials store all documents, files, and many more in the cloud, which allows us and our students to access them with any device from anywhere, making it student and teacher friendly and easy to use and utilize in our everyday teaching experiences. We also have online homework platforms like Google Classroom, Google Docs, and Loom. We all know that keeping track of our students' homework is one of the most challenging things during this new normal setup of education. Thanks to these instructional materials, we can now use a combination of platforms to let our students submit their homework. Aside from that, these tools can also let us distribute our students' grades and send some feedback. And lastly, we have online quiz makers like Quizzes, Quizlet, and Kahoot. Of course, no student likes the idea of having quizzes, but using these instructional materials may change their mindset about it. These tools create answer sheets in the form of games, which allows us to easily track and score the answers of our students, at the same time lessen the idea of pressure because they will feel like they're just playing rather than taking some quiz. That's all I can share for today. If you know some instructional materials that I didn't include in this video, feel free to comment your suggestions below.
I now have an idea on how to make my online class interactive and not boring at all. But before we say goodbye, let us give our audience a short assessment.
For question number 1, we have: these are materials used to aid the transference of learning in teaching and learning process. A. Instructional portfolio. B. Teaching strategies. C. Students' material. D. Instructional materials. You're right. It's letter D. Instructional materials. Question number 2. Which of the following is an example of an audio type of instructional materials? A. PowerPoint presentation. B. Cassette. C. Blackboard. D. Graph. You are right. It's letter B. Cassette. Question number 3. Videos are example of what type of instructional materials? A. Audio. B. Visual. C. Audio-visual. D. None of the above. You are right. It's letter C. Audio-visual. Question number 4. Teacher Jana wants to create a gamified quiz that she can use in her English class. What instructional materials can she use? A. Google Meet. B. Jamboard. C. Kahoot. D. None of the above. You are right. It's letter C. Kahoot. For our last item, it is an instructional material that lets students submit their homework. A. Google Classroom. B. Loom. C. MS Word. D. None of the above. You are right. It's letter A. Google Classroom.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching.